Ah, yes, Real Madrid. The club that has outlived empires, survived economic crises, and somehow always finds a way to win the Champions League, even when they're outplayed for 89 minutes and 30 seconds. This legendary institution just turned 123 years old. That's older than the airplane, the radio, and half the excuses Pep Guardiola has made for losing to them. So today, we celebrate 123 years of dominance, drama, and of course that Florentino Paris transfer magic. Buckle up, because when you're talking about Real Madrid, history is never boring. 1. The early days. When football was just a fancy hobby. It all started in 1902 when a bunch of Spanish gentlemen decided kicking a ball around sounded more fun than working. They formed Madrid Football Club, which later became Real Madrid, because apparently, adding Real made it sound fancier. Spoiler, it worked. The club's first games were played on dusty fields where the biggest concern wasn't the opponent, but avoiding stepping on a stray horse. Imagine pulling off a step over and accidentally nutmegging a goat. True football heritage. Early Real Madrid fans had to stand next to actual horses to watch a match. These days, if your seat doesn't have a built-in massage chair at the Bernabéu, you're practically in the trenches. Real Madrid won their first Copa del Rey in 1905. Athletic Bilbao probably thought, no big deal, just a one-time thing. 118 trophies later, oops. Real Madrid's first manager, Arthur Johnson, was English. Because if there's one thing the English love more than football, it's teaching other countries how to play football and then losing to them at it later. Back then, transfers weren't about secret meetings and private jets or leaked WhatsApp messages. Nope, signing a player meant convincing a local shopkeeper that his cousin's friend's brother was good enough to play. No contracts, no release clauses, just a handshake, a promise of free beers and maybe a loaf of bread if you were feeling generous. Oh, how times have changed. Now clubs spend 100 million euros on a teenager who might end up warming the bench. 2. The Bernabeu era, when Madrid became unstoppable. Real Madrid wasn't always a superpower. In fact, during the Spanish Civil War, the club nearly disappeared. The stadium was destroyed, players scattered, and Madrid fans had to wait years before they could cry about referees again. Then came Santiago Bernabeu, a man who looked at the ruins and said, "Nah, we're making this the biggest club in the world." And he actually did it. He built a new stadium, signed the best players, and convinced the football gods to permanently bless the white jersey. Imagine rebuilding a club from scratch in the middle of a war with no money. Meanwhile, some clubs today struggle to sign a right-back even with a billion-dollar budget. Bernabeu basically played football manager in real life and won. What's your excuse, Todd Bowley? Signing Alfredo Di Stefano was the football version of pulling off a heist. Barcelona thought they had him. Madrid said, "Nah, we'll take that," and the rest is history. Bernabeu didn't just want Madrid to be great, he wanted them to be the standard. He had the vision of a man who knew he was building a football empire while the rest of the world was still figuring out how to tie their boots properly. This guy wasn't playing checkers, he was out here playing intergalactic 4D chess. Today clubs panic over financial fair play rules, while Bernabeu once financed an entire stadium, convinced the world's best players to join, and still had enough charisma left to make rivals jealous. Absolute legend. 3. The Golden Era. When Real Madrid owned Europe. In the 1950s, Real Madrid didn't just play football, they invented footballing dominance. 5 European Cups in a row? That's not a record, that's a monopoly. With Di Stefano, Puskás and Gento running the show, Madrid turned the Champions League into their personal training ground. It wasn't will they win, it was by how much. Winning 5 Champions Leagues in a row in the 50s was the equivalent of dropping a cheat code in career mode. The 1960 final, 7-3 against Eintracht Frankfurt. Imagine making it to a European final, only to get steamrolled like a Sunday league team. Di Stefano and Puskás were basically football's first Avengers. One had skill, the other had power, and together they destroyed everything in their path. And let's not forget Paco Gento, the only man in history with 6 European Cups. That's right, 6. Some clubs don't even have one, but Gento was out here collecting them like Pokemon cards. Real Madrid in this era wasn't just dominant, they were so dominant that they probably made their opponents question their career choices. You train your whole life to become a professional footballer, only to spend 90 minutes watching Di Stefano, Puskás and Gento turn your defense into training cones. Brutal. 4. The Galacticos. Football's version of the Avengers. Fast forward to the early 2000s, when Real Madrid decided winning wasn't enough. They also had to look good doing it. Enter the Galacticos era, where football met Hollywood, and the transfer budget had more zeros than a math textbook. Figo, Zidane, Ronaldo, Beckham. Madrid was assembling superstars like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones. It was either genius or financial madness, but hey, it made for great football. Figo moving from Barcelona to Madrid was like your best friend dating your ex. No wonder they threw a pig's head at him. Zidane's volley in the 2002 UCL final was so perfect, even physics took the day off. David Beckham's signing proved that even if you have the most expensive team in the world, you still need a guy to take perfect free kicks and sell millions of shirts. The Galacticos era was basically football's version of Ocean's 11, except instead of robbing casinos, they robbed defenses. But while the attack was dazzling, the defense sometimes looked like it was on a paid vacation. This was the football equivalent of a supercar with no brakes, beautiful to look at, exhilarating at full speed, but one wrong move, and everything fell apart. By 2004, the trophies dried up, Paris left, and the Dream Team started looking more like a bloated Netflix reboot. Still, no one can deny that for a few glorious years, Madrid played football like it was an art form, and looked ridiculously good doing it. 5. The modern dominance, Zidane, Ronaldo and Champions League three-peats. Then came the Zidane era, where Real Madrid won the Champions League 3 times in a row just because they could. Cristiano Ronaldo was scoring goals for fun, Sergio Ramos was headbutting his way into history, and Luka Modric was out there making football look like an art form. Winning 3 straight Champions Leagues? That's not football, that's FIFA career mode on easy difficulty. Cristiano Ronaldo in the Champions League was like Thanos, inevitable. Sergio Ramos didn't play defense, he played psychological warfare. And let's talk about Gareth Bale. The man was treated like a part-time employee at times, but when it mattered he delivered. That 2018 bicycle kick against Liverpool, pure cinematic brilliance. You could play it in slow motion, add dramatic music, and people would still argue it's one of the greatest Champions League goals ever. The man went from warming the bench to scoring a goal so ridiculous that even Zidane, who himself scored a UCL final masterpiece, had to applaud. Yet somehow, Real Madrid fans still spent half the time arguing about whether he played too much golf. Priorities. 6. The 2022 miracle run. Real Madrid does it again. Just when people thought Madrid's dominance was fading, they pulled off the greatest Champions League comeback season ever in 2022. Down against PSG, Benzema hat-trick. Down against Chelsea, Benzema again. Down against Man City, Rodrigo decided he was the chosen one. Final against Liverpool, Vinícius Jr. casually ended their dreams. If Madrid is losing in the 80th minute, you might as well start panicking, because something ridiculous is about to happen. Man City learned that lesson the hard way. They were up, they were comfortable, and then Madrid activated Champions League mode. At this point, Real Madrid in the Champions League is like a horror movie villain. You think they're dead, but they just keep coming back. And let's not forget Thibaut Courtois' Super Saiyan performance in the final against Liverpool. The man saved everything. Salah tried, Mané tried, even Klopp tried with his death stare. Nothing worked. Courtois was in goal like he had personally sworn an oath to never let Liverpool score again. It was so bad that by the 85th minute, Liverpool players looked like they were trying to solve a riddle rather than take shots. That night, Madrid didn't just win the Champions League, they proved once again that no matter the odds, this club is inevitable. 7. The future. More trophies. More drama. Now with Vinícius Jr., Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, and a brand new Bernabéu, the future looks exactly the same. More trophies, more heartbreak for everyone else, and more transfer rumors linking every top player to Madrid. Because if there's one thing you can count on in football, it's Real Madrid showing up when it matters most. Real Madrid's scouting team doesn't find talents, they manufacture them in a secret lab. Bellingham joined Madrid, and immediately became a Ballon d'Or contender. Some clubs spend £100 million and get a guy who forgets how to shoot. The only thing more consistent than Real Madrid winning is Florentino Perez somehow affording every transfer no matter the price tag. And now the wait is over, Kylian Mbappe is finally wearing the white jersey. After years of will he, won't he? That made Madrid fans feel like they were watching a never-ending Netflix drama. It actually happened. The man spent years rejecting Madrid's calls like an ex who isn't ready to move on, only to show up at the Bernabéu like it was always meant to be. But hey, no hard feelings. He's here now, and La Liga defenders are already updating their retirement plans. With Vinícius, Bellingham and Mbappe in attack, Madrid's biggest challenge might not be winning, it's figuring out how to share the ball. 8. Closing thoughts. Hala Madrid forever. So, 123 years later, Real Madrid is still here, still winning, and still giving their rivals nightmares. The club has outlasted football eras, managers, and even financial fair play rules. And now, with Vinícius Jr., Jude Bellingham, and Kylian Mbappe leading the charge, the future isn't just bright, it's downright terrifying for everyone else. What's next? Probably another Champions League run, where Madrid plays horribly for 80 minutes and still wins in stoppage time. Maybe Florentino Perez will casually sign the next wonder kid while sipping espresso. Or maybe Mbappe will finally admit he's been secretly a Madridista since birth. Whatever happens, one thing is certain: Real Madrid is football's final boss. You don't beat them, you just survive long enough to tell the story. So, to every Madridista out there, congratulations on supporting the world's greatest club, and to every rival fan, just remember, no lead is ever safe against Real Madrid. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more football satire. And as always, Hala Madrid.